sixth graders. How the heck are you doing? I hope you had a fantastic spring break. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mr. Gardell. For those of you who do, you're going to have to deal with me for another entire quarter. Aren't you lucky? All right, so the purpose of this video, and I apologize up front, it is going to be a lengthier video, is to make sure we understand exactly what to do, what our expectations are as we continue our learning of social studies, specifically Minnesota, throughout quarter four. And so I want to just start with a few expectations based on my observations throughout quarter three. So, social studies expectations. Letter A, I will try my best. That by far is the most important. Always, always try your very best. In fact, you might even see me from time to time respond to you and say, are you trying your best? B, I will ask for help if needed. If you don't understand something, if there's something you just don't understand or aren't getting, whether it be content related or how to complete an academic task, also known as a learning activity, then please reach out to me or your HOA teacher and we will help you. I will watch the videos. That is such an important piece to our learning. Our instructional videos for social studies are made by me. They're not every day, but you're going to have to watch the instructional videos in its entirety. If you don't like seeing my mugshot, then put your hand over it so you don't have to see me. I won't always have me showing up on your video. Okay, sometimes you'll just hear my voice, but nonetheless, watch the videos in their entirety. The thing that I noticed in quarter three, those individuals, students who watched the videos and completed the entire learning process of social studies were highly, highly successful. Those who didn't and tried to skip steps along the way throughout the learning process of social studies, those students struggled and struggled mightily. And lastly, I will complete all learning activities, including assessments. In other words, watch videos, complete the ed puzzles, okay? Post your response in Padlet, complete the learning checkpoints, complete the projects, and so forth. We have to get better at that in quarter four than we were in quarter three. We struggled with that. So complete the entire learning process by completing all the learning activities. So, what am I going to learn in quarter four? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about something called Land Changes Hands. It's specifically addressing the indigenous groups that lived in Minnesota during the mid 1800s. And as the government's acquiring more and more land that ultimately becomes the United States of America, they want land that was occupied by the two groups, the Dakota and the Ojibwe in Minnesota. So they go through that process of land changing hands through something called treaties. We're going to spend just a little bit of time on Minnesota's government. Okay, we won't focus a lot of our attention on that because a lot of you already focused on government earlier in the school year. Civil War, the U.S. Civil War, the Union versus the Confederacy, that 4-year war. We will focus the last month of our year of the school year on that war, along with another war that occurred in Minnesota that actually occurred during the Civil War. Do you know the name of that war? Did you even know there was a war that occurred in the lands of Minnesota? All right, let's take a break for a moment before we move on. How many lakes are there in Minnesota right now, today? Do you have a guess? Do you have a number in mind? Is your number 11,842 lakes? If so, congratulations! You won a fantastic prize. High five me. All right, so can you name 5 of those lakes? 10? More? All right, let's move on. So, where and how do I complete my social studies learning? Some of you are like, oh, Gardell, we know this already. We've been doing it for a quarter. Yeah, we need to review this. We need to hear it from me again. We need to practice with me. So, how and where do I learn and complete my learning? One, learning will occur in Schoology. Yes, there will be resources that you'll use outside of Schoology from time to time, okay? But that's okay. The more resources we have, the more we learn about the content that we're learning about, in this case, Minnesota. Also, one of the resources that we're going to use quite frequently is our online Northern Lights textbook. How do I log into that? And what in the heck does something like page 6.04 mean? Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. And make sure for social studies you complete all learning activities each day in numerical order. In other words, one is your first learning activity, the second one listed is your second learning activity, and so forth. Complete them all. Don't skip steps. That's where we ultimately struggled in quarter three. And lastly, what are learning targets? What are those? Learning targets simply mean it's just giving you a preview of what you're going to learn for that, in this case, and in social studies case, for that chapter. All right, let's dig into Schoology and take a look and practice this. And in fact, we're going to go through in this video today's lesson so that you can hear it from me and I can model it for you on what to complete each day and what it looks like, what your learning is going to include each day for social studies. All right, here we go. So I'm already logged in to Schoology. I'm already in our course social studies, and I'm specifically in the folder titled The Week of April 5th through the 9th, Chapter 6, and the title of this chapter is Land Changes Hands. The first thing you're going to notice is the learning targets. Again, learning targets give us a preview of what we're going to learn. And as you can see, here are a number of different learning targets, or what I expect you to learn by the end of this chapter. Okay? I strongly, strongly encourage you to read through these, okay, on your own time. Or what you can do right now is simply click pause and read them right now if you would like. I'm going to go back and keep moving forward. Okay? We didn't have school on Monday, April 5th. And Tuesday, April 6th is our first day of learning for quarter four. All right, so what does it say to do first? Let me model this for you. Number one, watch the introduction to quarter four video. Click here to watch the video on YouTube. All right, a couple of things. One, you're watching the video, so I know you're doing number one. If you would rather, because it's easier for you to watch the video on YouTube, I will try to remember always to have a link to the video, instructional video for you in a YouTube format. Okay. If you have any questions about that, please contact me. But in my experience, some of you prefer to watch it in YouTube format over the Screencastify format. All right. Number two, watch the introduction video to chapter 6. Land changes hands on page 6.01. Oh, there's that number again, 6.01. Well, hold up. How do I even log into this online textbook? Well, there we go. So here it is. These are directions, and you can hit pause again and you can write this down. If you do have me for online learning, it's just simply in our social studies course and just click on the folder resources and look for something titled How to Log into Our Northern Lights ebook or online textbook. And this will provide you with step-by-step directions on how to do it. So what's the first thing I do? I need to get to this site. So I'm just going to copy it, right click it, and I'm going to go to that online textbook page and it should pop up momentarily. Now, the difference between you and me is my username is also 200, but my password is different. But you can see that your username is 200 and your password is loon. And actually, now that I think about it, I said that backward. My username is just a little bit different than yours. So I'm just going to simply log in. And now, once I'm logged into the online Northern Lights textbook, I'm going to click on Chapter 6, Land Changes Hands. And once I click Read, then I'll be able to dive into this chapter only. But before we get into this chapter, I just want to scroll down for a moment. From time to time, you're going to complete vocabulary. Some of you would prefer to use the glossary. The glossary is right here. And once I click read, if I scroll over on the right hand side, I will see everything listed, all the terms throughout the textbook, Northern Lights textbook here, and I just simply click on a letter, and then it will bring me to those terms with that first letter throughout our glossary. So if the glossary works great for you or works best for you, use it. If not, you can just simply go through the online textbook, that chapter, and scroll through the bolded terms because all the terms we have to learn are bolded within the chapter. All right, let's get rolling. So the first thing that or the second thing, whoop, got ahead of myself. The second thing that it's asking us to do is to watch the introduction video. So we're going to do that right now. And here is, whoa, I'm sorry. On the very bottom of the page, 6.01, you can see the page number. And so we're just going to simply watch this video together. Here we go. All right, so that concludes the introductory video. So it just basically kind of gives you a quick 2.5 minute preview of what's to come. And really, those treaties or written agreements were very powerful. And the Dakota and the Ojibwe did sign treaties that did give up a good chunk of their land to the U.S. government. The question is, why would they give them up? Who would move in? And what, after all the treaties were signed, what would Minnesota now look like from the perspective of the Dakota and the Ojibwe? So, things to think about. All right, let's go back to Tuesday, April 6th. And what it says next to do is to analyze the painting on page 6.02, then create 3 questions based on your analysis of the painting and post your 3 created questions in Schoology. Then it states, see Analyze Painting in Schoology to complete the learning activity. So, what does that mean when it says in Schoology? It means that you need to take one more step. And where would I find it? Just simply click on the date, Tuesday, April 6th, and then you will be able to see the learning activity titled Analyze Painting. We'll get to that in a moment. But what I want to do is go back into the textbook and turn to page 6.02. And so how do I do that? I just simply click the right arrow and it will get me to the next page or not. Uh-oh, technical difficulties. That's okay, that's going to happen. There it is. And so this is the painting that I want you to analyze. And by clicking on the painting itself, it will enlarge it for you. And so you can actually see it better. And so really, again, what you're doing right now is analyzing that painting and you're coming up with 3 questions based on your analysis. Don't just simply list what you see, ask questions. Okay. So now would be a good time for you, if you want to simply pause the video and take a closer look at this painting. Okay. And then once you're finished, I'll show you what to do next. All right, let's continue. So analyze the painting. I'm going to click on Analyze Painting. And the first thing that I want you to do is always, always, always read the directions. And it says, complete the following learning activities in numerical order. Number 1, analyze the painting on page 6.02. By the way, 6.02 simply means this. It's the second page of chapter 6. In this case, chapter 6, land changes hands. Okay, so you've already analyzed that, so we can check that off. Then number 2, create 3 questions based on your analysis of the painting and post these 3 questions in our discussion. Please list your questions numerically. Okay, so what you're going to simply do is to simply list your questions in order. So number 1, write out your question. Make sure there's a question mark at the end of it because it is a question, and make sure you start your question with a capital letter. And do the same thing for number 2, type out your question. Number 3, type out your question. Okay, and then that's all you need to do. Simply do that right here where it says write a comment, and then simply make sure, make sure then that you post it. Okay, and then what I will do and your other HOA teachers will do is we'll read through your response and look at the 3 questions that you posted. And then tomorrow's video will be based on your questions and kind of finalizing this learning activity. Okay. One thing that I do want to point out, and if you look at number 3, it says be creative with your questions and do not copy and paste another classmate's questions and claim these questions as your own. That's called plagiarism. We can't do that. We can't copy and paste something and claim it as our own. That is not acceptable and that is not allowed. Okay? For those of you who have me for online learning, if you copy and paste, automatically, there is no more warnings. It automatically will go into the gradebook as a 0, and I will contact and notify your parents and or guardians. Okay? For number 4, skip it. Okay, we're not going to do that piece to it. We're going to just focus on our questions for this painting. All righty. Well, if we go back to our list of what to do for today, you can see that we are now completed with all of our learning activities. I'm sorry, let me go back one more time. And you can see that we have now finished 1, 2, and 3, and then we're done. Okay, and then we'll move on to tomorrow's learning activities, which is Wednesday. As always, and you'll hear me say this a lot, please contact me or your HOA teachers if you have any questions. Take care and have a fantastic day.